One of the things that came to mind as you were speaking of that, Kanika, is that, okay, if you're and I really like the four buckets that you painted, from the one end who's really not paying any attention to the other end who's, quite ready and mature and doing everything just because they feel that's the thing to do. How, if you're an organization, and my next question is that, okay, if I'm a manager trying to recruit some of these young people, right? Two things. One is, if I'm an organization who's doing it, how do I communicate? In other words, are there companies who are doing that in a particular way to highlight some of the D&I initiatives? That's number one. And number two, if the Gen Z is now in the organization, what are some of the do's and don'ts, right? Like you rightly said, because a prior generation probably wasn't even thinking, right? But today, I mean, I have a teenage son, and he told me that I don't want to go to that college because I'm going to just see the same group of people from my school into that college, and I'm done with that. I want to see new people. I want to meet new people. I want to meet and learn new perspectives. And so, as a manager, what are some of the ways in which I mean, do you put them in new projects? Do you put them in cross-functional teams so that they get the experience, right?
So if I was to talk about it again, I feel that, you know, I sometimes can say very difficult things to my clients because sometimes I feel I'm not just their friend, but I'm also their advocate and I can also be a critic. And that's a beautiful position I enjoy with some of my clients. Very recently, I was talking to a head of an organization and I asked him two very difficult questions. Question number one, I said, how much are you willing to invest on D&I?
Mm,
It doesn't come free. It takes a lot of sponsorship, and especially dollar remuneration to make sure these initiatives, whether you talk about little communications, whether you talk
right.
larger cultural change, they come at a cost. And
Yeah.
as an organization, are you at that stage where you're willing to spend that kind of money?
Mm,
And the other thing I ask him, how long are you going to do this? Him or her. I asked them, how
yeah.
do you want to do this? Because if it's just another fad, then you might as well do anything. But if you're serious about it, then probably deriving the right strategy is very important. Again, as an organization, let's be fair. And if I'm a multi-billion dollar organization, I can't focus. And we all know what can get measured is what can get done.
Yeah.
So what am I focusing right now on? And is it gender? Is it generation? Am I clear about my focus group where I'm going? And my suggestion to clients are, if you are doing this effort, then you might as well expand your horizon. Don't pick up everything, but pick up at least few things that you feel are sustainable. So whether it's generation, whether it's education, simple things like, are you going to the same college again and again to hire?
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're getting the same kind of people every time. And what that's also leading to is people having these small cohorts from saying my college, and there tends to be higher bias. But
Yeah.
the diversity, and I get to choose from many places, I'm getting a very different perspective, a different schooling system. And I think that aids to the diversity and the creativity of an organization.
Yeah.
So first, maybe driving the strategy. The second is, how do you attract and retain? I
Yeah.
often say this, you can roll a red carpet made of pashmina, the best silk thread in the world, and bring them on board. But if you're not going to make sure that they retain with you, then all
Yeah.
the effort has gone in waste.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes the problem is the hiring gets done by a certain function, and the retainment gets done by a very different function.
Right.
Time of hiring, so much is said, so much is over communicated, over promised. But sometimes in reality, because of challenges of business, and I'm saying nobody means harm, because of just challenges of business, it could possibly be very different. The third is aligning and connecting. I think it's about the entire, senior to mid to junior. How do you align and connect with everyone? So it could be through constant assessments that we need to do. It's about the DEI connections that we do. It's about the ERG group that we do.
Yeah.
The problem I feel with ERG groups is, they'll make a woman ERG group, and then they'll make a man ERG group, and then they'll make LGBTQI ERG groups. I often feel unless it's a mixed ERG group, and you have inputs coming from everyone, or a similar or a familiar ERG groups tend to become more victimizing in nature.
Mm.
But when it's a diverse ERG group in an organization, it tends to be more, mind opening, because you're understanding a perspective of somebody completely diverse than you are. And I think the last is listening and serving society, which is when organizations talk about diversity and inclusion, and I say, what is your behavior with your vendors or your partners. Let's not go far right now. Let's just talk about people who are supporting your business run the way it is. So maybe not related, but I asked one of my recent clients, and it happened to me. So one of my clients sent me out saying, Kanika, thank you for your quotation, and we're waiting for two more quotations. I said, but you have mine already, right? Uh,
Mm,
why do you need two more? They're like, no, we have a process. We need L1, L2, L3.
mm, mm.
It almost bled my heart. There've been a time we were a small business ourselves.
Yeah,
What a hopeful quotation or a proposal can mean to you.
yeah.
Think through pandemic, businesses have not done that well. And when you go to a small business and give them hope, to say, something will happen, you're probably just not doing the right thing. So maybe
Right,
you've done things in the past which were obviously done for a purpose, so that there is no discrimination, there is no favoritism, and that's why you had that process of multiple quotation. But do we really need that? So are don't go far serving society, just serve at least the ones who are working very closely with you.
right.
Um, are you working with NGOs and business partners who are probably diverse, so maybe women-led businesses,
Mm,
or people from diverse community leading businesses, or people from far off remote locations, or do you have the same vendor over and over again? So I'm nothing against larger vendors, but maybe sharing the pie a little bit, because you're then making everyone grow, and I think that is the power of true diversity. Lastly, I feel what is really important is, and I'm a huge believer of the power of why. And I was recently talking to some senior executives of an organization, and I said, you know what, you and I, because of our virtue of being senior in the leadership roles, we understand the philosophy of the top organization. There could be a global, focus on diversity. You and I understand that. But I'm really curious, how would a sales guy or a sales girl, or a regional person who's based, say, out of Vizag, or maybe a small town like maybe Banaras or Lucknow,
mm, mm,
do they
mm,
understand why we are doing this? So
mm.
like I said, you could roll in a great red carpet, but unless they understand the purpose of diversity, Generation Z, gender, and all of that, and they're not going to be able to support it, because then it's not, they don't understand what's in it for them. So
Right,
unless you tell them that you will always have a seat on the table, but we're just expanding the size of the table. You will always have what you have, because there could be insecurities, and I'm like, oh my god, now there are so many different kinds of people here to take my job. So I think it's that sense of communication to tell them your job is safe, you're taken care of, you're just expanding the table. So I
yeah.
think these communications, I think, are really important.